the lockdown taught us as creators a lot of things. It also exposed a lot of things too, even though they were already there. It like super like imposed them. It just made them more exposed, right? Like how companies like Spotify are ripping us off, right? How creators are now using these services where the companies are giving them more of their own creation, you know? So like, again, Bandcamp, 85%. Apple Podcast subscription, here's 70%. And then after the first year, I'm gonna give you 85%. Come on. It's like, yes, I'm okay with that. You know, if I'm putting blood, sweat, and tears into a piece of art, be it like video content, audio, music, I want like majority of those profits, right?
Oh, for sure.
Right.
And the thing too is that we're in an age now where everybody is, I would say everybody, but more people are consuming this kind of content. A lot of people have YouTube channels, a lot of people have podcasts, and the hunger for it hasn't diminished yet. It's still as high as it's ever been for podcasts in particular. People watch YouTube as much as they've ever did before. That hasn't fallen off. Actually, YouTube had growth, whereas most of the social media companies were stalled or it went down a little bit.
Yeah.
YouTube didn't fall off yet,
Mm-hmm.
and they now they have competition from Odyssey and these other types of companies. I think the
Yeah.
library is the same thing. I use Minds. Like you have a lot of competition, and there's a hunger for this type of stuff on the internet. So I think that a lot of these companies are starting to cater and realize, like, oh, we need to take care of the people too that are making the stuff.
That
We
take
can't
care of
just
the
bully them
people
and
who are
take all their
giving us
money.
content.
Yeah,
Because
we need
without
them.
content, you're nothing, right? Without Spotify, if you didn't have content, you're nothing. Google, like YouTube, if you didn't have content, you're nothing, you know?
Yeah. Google does not appreciate the people on their platform.
They
I'll
don't.
say
Let
that.
me ask you this here. You think that after the lockdown and people are now able to go out and see things live and this, that, and the other, some of these companies who have benefited from, the lockdown, the pandemic, will sort of pare back on like giving the creator more of what they created, or will say, you know what, now, that everything is open back up, we're going to take a lot more from like the creators.
Well, I think there's a gold rush right now, and whoever comes out on top is going to basically set the terms for how this is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel that once people are able to go outside, the need to do interaction is going to be greater than it's probably ever been in the last 10, 15 years. Like people are going to want to meet up and go do things together in person or whatever. That's coming. And obviously there's going to be people that just want to stay in their house still, but I think that there's going to be a lot of people that want to do things like that. So people, if you are just doing podcasts, you need to figure out how to live stream in person or do a show in front of an audience or something like that. You're going to have to reinvent how you're doing this thing to tackle how this is, because everybody's stuck indoors, whatever. Doing the podcast is easy. That's a layup.
Yeah.
People just will find you. But
Turn
if
on the
people
system.
can go out, if people can go outside again, how do people find you now? Especially people in your city or neighborhood or whatever. So I think you're probably gonna have to rethink this for sure. There's gonna be a shift when people are comfortable leaving their house again. There's definitely gonna be a shift, and whoever wins this battle right now between Spotify, Apple, other companies doing the podcast and this kind of thing, a Patreon, I think they're gonna set the terms going forward. It should be interesting.
One of the podcasts I listen to is Pivot with Kara Swisher and Scott Galloway. And Scott Galloway, he's a professor at NYU. He always speaks about how these companies like Facebook, like Spotify, they own nothing, right? So, they're like, well, the only way that he keeps talking about how Facebook, they need to buy some sort of an appliance, like a phone company, or just some, LG is thinking about selling off their cellular division or something like that. They need to own something like a device so that they can now start thinking about how to scale up on some of their other sort of products, because again, they do not own the rails. Apple owns the rails. They own every
Mhm.
single aspect of what they do. Spotify does not. Facebook does not. Patreon does not.
Yeah.
Google, when you have a company like Google, they own the rails, you know? Microsoft,
Yeah.
they own the rails. If you look at the companies who own every aspect of what they do, they're doing a lot better. They're in a position to do a lot better. But a company like, you
Yeah.
know, Facebook and Spotify, for them, it's all about data. That's really, they make their money off of ads
Oh
and,
yeah,
you know, the
this is
data,
it's
right?
definitely a bubble too, for sure,
Yeah,
because people can leave Spotify and go to Tidal or another
right.
company,
Mm-hmm.
and people, they don't use Facebook in the same way as they used
Yeah.
to,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more so because they're forced to rather than they want to be there.